Hello, and welcome to Love is Worth the War. My name is Kimmy. I'm the founder of WorththeWar. We have been in the business of rethinking love and relationship for 5 years now. You will find us on pretty much every social media outlet, and we are really working hard to give people the tools to rethink their approach to love and relationship and spare hearts. And it is fueled by survivors' wisdom. People who have taken the time and taken the hit and bravery to be able to step up and say, these are the kinds of things that I fell for or I learned from or happened to me, so that we can take those lessons and basically pass them down to the little hearts that are within our circle that live all around us. We have done a notoriously bad job of passing down healthy, intentional ways of love and relationship. And when we look at the statistics, it shows. We cannot expect things to change unless we do. So let's work hard on the idea that we can rethink our approach to love and relationship. And you're going to find that we do it here at Worth the War. So what we're going to do today is talk about 6 things that we believe that we caught basically from our culture about love that leave us vulnerable to dark hearts, people who would rather wound us than love us, as well as prevent us from being able to read what exactly somebody else is looking for in a relationship, because maybe we ourselves don't even know. So we're going to go through these pretty quickly. I hate spending 20 minutes on a podcast before we get to what it is that I really wanted to hear. So this is 6 lies that we believe about love and relationship that leave us vulnerable to people who would not be healthy for us. So the first one is that love is a feeling. Basically, this comes from the cultural idea that the fairy tale is what we're striving for. And the minute we start to go for some way something feels instead of what it actually is, we have to fight our own brains in actually not accepting things that are not healthy for us. Our confirmation bias kicks in. We want something so badly, we are unwilling to see what it actually is. And when we run anything by our feelings, we leave ourselves open and vulnerable to not only people who would actually try to use our feelings against us, but some people who would unknowingly do that because they have a very different idea of what love is supposed to feel like. So we know that the fairy tale is actually something that hangs out there, and we spend our lives trying to find something that will create for us the feeling that dream does. That's super dangerous, because somebody who actually understands that will be able to tie your hopes and your dreams to it, and it opens the door for you to make connections and commitments to someone who is absolutely not healthy. So the first lie that we believe is that love is a feeling and that it ties us to a fairy tale, when in reality, love is what people do. It's how much they back up what they say. It's that we can trust them, that we can confide in them, that they have our backs, and that we have similar ideas of what it is we want from love and relationship. The second lie that we believe is that love is essentially a destination. Essentially, we look at it as young people looking ahead to what it's going to be like. And what do we think of when we think about that love relationship? Well, we think about getting engaged. We think about romantic dinners. We think about a beautiful wedding, a wonderful honeymoon, putting all of our crate and barrel stuff into our cabinets. These are the kinds of things that we dream about, and there's nothing wrong with that. And they're beautiful things, and I'm not here to tarnish that beauty. But what I am saying is that the destination is actually the connection that we can count on, that we can trust, and that we have compatible strains in. So if we confuse it with these mountaintop moments, imagine the disappointment of generations of people who tied what love is to something that, quite frankly, is the exception rather than the rule. Those of us who have been married for decades, those of us who have been married for just a few years, understand that the majority of the time that we spend with this person that we've been waiting our whole life for is work. It's doing the things that need to be done. It's dealing with the things that have to be dealt with. And it's handling the frustration that lies before us. So when we really think about it, the destination is not the mountaintop moment, but rather the life that we share together. The third lie that we believe is that attraction and love are somehow distant cousins that are related to each other. In reality, attraction is the icing on the cake of love. As are feelings, as are the mountaintop moments. All three of these things that we believe to be love are actually the icing on the cake. And you know what the cake is? It's the love. It's the being there because you said you would be. It's the promising and keeping those promises. It's being there when they cannot contribute to the relationship. It's when somebody is sick or someone dies and you have to be able to help carry the load. It's when you're really mad and you still choose to choose them. That is what actual love is. So attraction is something that occurs, and it can occur to you when you're married, when you're in a relationship, when you don't want to be in a relationship. Attraction is not a respecter of the place that you are in your life. Attraction is something that we need to untie from love, look at it for what it is, a beautiful thing. It's a reaction, it's a response, it's a physical thing. It is everything from wanting to kiss someone to a strong sexual drive and everything in between, or even just wanting to look longingly into their eyes and kiss them on their forehead. There is this huge, just a continuum of what attraction is to different people in different ways. But here's the key. Will we feed it or will we starve it? And we feed it or we starve it right between our ears. If it's attraction that we want to follow, that we're open to follow, that we look at the signs and we see that things line up that you could be compatible, what goes on between the ears needs to be, this is something I want to figure out, but I'm not going to dive in so fast that I lose myself in the process, because that's where dark hearts love to kind of live. They know how to conjure attraction. They know how to feed attraction from their end, the things to say, the things to do to make that a big part of something that you might struggle with. But I'll tell you what, if we aren't careful, that leaves us beholden to them before we've actually seen who they really are. So whether it's bad timing, or it's not someone who's compatible, or it's someone who's actually not in it for good reasons, our attraction has to be something that we choose to follow, we choose to feed. If we are not in a place where we think it's a healthy person, if we're not in a place where we're open to, because we're already committed to somebody else, then we need to starve that. And we starve that between our ears as well. When those feelings and thoughts overtake us, we basically say, that's not the person for me. That's not the right person for me. And we switch it over to remember what it is in our life that we're focusing on. It might be somebody we're already committed to. It might be something that we're actually really focusing on that's really important to us, and we don't have the ability to feel comfortable with making any kind of moves toward a connection physically, emotionally, financially, etc. So we will feed or starve it based on what's between our ears, and we need to learn, if we want to pass to the next generation a better shot of what healthy love and relationship is. Character and intentionality are going to be the things that we look for before we ever start to feed that attraction. So it's really important that we realize that that third one is actually one that gets manipulated on a regular basis. And a lot of people think that where we falter is when we start to act on it. Okay, so let's say we're committed to somebody else, or we know that they're not healthy for us, and we act on that attraction. Well, before we have ever acted on it, we have fed it numerous times in our own mind. So that's where that lie really catches us. The next one is that our first impression is what is, right? And the way that we can really combat this idea of the first impression, what would they say? Love at first sight. The way we combat that cultural lie that we believe is, first of all, when we hear the cute little sayings about love at first sight, or this has got to be my soulmate because I just felt my stomach jump into my chest, or these other kinds of things, we need to be able to recognize that for what it is. What that is a cultural fairy tale that we have built around attraction. We have given attraction a million different names, and we have to be able to stop and listen and say, is that really who they are? If I'm not prepared to answer that question, I need to go slow. And making sure that you have a touch point, somebody you trust who knows what it is that you want, is vital to this process of fighting this lie of the first impression of instant love. Because what happens is often we isolate ourselves. And when we think this is the person, we isolate ourselves. So if there is a problem, nobody's going to be there to catch us. But if we give somebody permission to speak into this process, it's going to make it harder for somebody to actually isolate us. And that is something that we look for in a dark heart, somebody who actually wants to isolate you. The next one is the idea that love is confusing. I don't know how many sayings there are out there that say you can't know what love is, it's a mystery, love is magical, all these other things, and they're just absolute bunk. The reality is that love is extremely straightforward. Love is a verb. It is what we do. It is where our words and our actions meet up, and it's something that we can lean into in the times that are hard. I'm not telling you that every single person has to think about love and say a hookup can't be love or you can't have attraction be love. It's not my place to tell you what to think, but I will tell you what most people want, and that's somebody that they can trust, somebody that will have their back, and they'll have each other's backs. And it's a mutually honest and a beautiful connection between two people who understand what somebody else needs and they want to share it. That's what most people want, and it is what we really refer to as love here at Love is Worth the War, and on all of our social media accounts, which are Worth the War is the actual name. So this idea of love being confusing, magical, can't be quantified, can't find words for it, it's dangerous. Label it dangerous. We don't want to teach that to young hearts, because you know what? That confuses them. If they think the way they feel is love and somebody treats them badly, but they know that they feel that way, we are going to put a gray cloud in their brain that maybe they shouldn't just walk away. When in reality, if you have to question where somebody's heart is, where somebody's character is, you should absolutely walk away. The last one, the sixth one, is probably one that we hear more in modern culture than we did, say, 30 years ago. And that is that danger is sexy. It is immersive in the porn culture that excitement and danger equal love. It is immersive in the younger generations that using aggressive power is sexy. We will get into some tough topics here. And Worth the War had a foundational belief that raising young people to get ideas about intimacy and sex from social media or from pornography will increase the number of people who are confused and vulnerable to abuse. So we need to realize that this is a lie that not just young people are pushing. People who can make money off the idea that being aggressive, being physical, sometimes being downright violent can be sexy, have got to be called out into the light and taught that this is something that you actually have blood on your hands. You actually are doing something dangerous to the idea of love. If you start pushing these kinds of ideas out into 11 and 12 and 13-year-old minds, we are basically opening a door for them to accept behavior that is anything but loving. So these are 6 straightforward things that we are consistently barraged with in culture, and have been for the majority of them, except for possibly the last one, for generations, and nobody has called foul. All of them can either give us confused ideas of what love and relationship really can be, or they actually open a door to our vulnerability, and the people that we love deserve better than we had. I don't know how much time you were given when it came to being intentionally taught about what to look for in love and relationship, but odds are good there was more time spent on learning to drive a car or throw or catch a ball. And how often in our lives are the things we see as either the highest highs or the most devastating related to how we relate to the people in our lives? And some of these things are across the board about love and relationships. Some of them apply directly to intimate partner relationships. But at the end of the day, if we want to make a dent, we want a seat at the table of love and relationship, how it's being defined, and how we can protect and spare hearts, we should start here at the lies that are being told. I hope you found something here helpful, that you will pass it on and share it. We are just starting Love is Worth the War as a podcast, and it is joining a strong force of Worth the War accounts on all the other social media outlets. And I hope that you will join us, because we believe that we can make a dent in this, and we can help the statistics, and we can help the young hearts within our reach have a better shot at love and relationship than we did. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I really look forward to getting to know this audience better and building a community that makes a difference.